Hi there, I'm Lucille Greeff and I am one of the partners in Aephoria. Let's meet the quiet observers, our Enneagram Fives. If I had to use a metaphor to help us understand Enneagram Fives, I'll definitely use the metaphor of a castle. Enneagram Fives are incredibly private and they feel the need to maintain a boundary between themselves and the outside world as a way of conserving my resources and my energy. The world is exhausting. The world depletes me. Humans deplete me. The frantic nature of the world depletes me. And the way to remain sane within an overwhelming world is to go into the head and to spend my mental energy trying to understand and sort through the complexities of life. This is why the Enneagram 5 conserves resources and is a very independent and self-sufficient individual. If I can conserve my resources, I have more time to think. I have more time to spend on understanding and making sense of the world. Enneagram 5s can be hard for other people to get to know. It's that sense of how do I get into your world and into your head? Through the maintenance of boundaries, the Enneagram 5 is quite good at keeping people out and keeping parts of their lives separate and compartmentalized as well. I often joke to say that the whole profession of knowledge management was created to try and extract the wonderful thoughts and ideas and gifts of the Enneagram 5s out of their heads and to get it into the organizational system of knowing. So Enneagram 5s in some way hold on to some of their knowledge unless you unlock it by asking the really smart and intelligent questions that will allow them to feel comfortable enough to share what's going on in their heads. When you get an Enneagram 5 on a topic that they love, they might seem quite extroverted and animated. When you try and engage them on topics that they're not that interested in, they might push you away and might be a lot more reticent to share and to stay in the conversation. So what are the leadership strengths of Enneagram 5s? Enneagram 5s spend a lot of time thinking about things. And this means that their contribution to problem solving can be absolutely exquisite. They're able to work with complexity, to hold many ideas and possibilities in their minds, and almost like one of those Sherlock Holmes maps, they're able to connect the dots and figure out what a way forward would be. Because Enneagram 5s are very head-centered, they easily step away from some of the more emotional aspects of a decision, and they're able to lean into what they experience as an objective or rational way forward. Enneagram 5s are often valued for the wisdom that they bring into organizations, and they can set up teams to work quite self-sufficiently and independently and keep moving projects forward without needing to check in with others too much. That independence can be really valued when we're, for example, in a virtual work environment. Many Enneagram 5s enjoyed the virtual work environment that the pandemic years offered them to lean into. Don't have to waste time with some of the conversations and travel time and small talk that generally distracts me from doing what I need to do. Enneagram 5s can give themselves passionately to topics of interest and to projects. If it's tickled their brains, they're all in. And they won't necessarily maintain working hour boundaries between thinking about what needs to happen and exploring the next steps and finding out more. They're all in. So midnight, you might find them still busy working on something that's really caught their attention. What are some of the challenges that Enneagram 5 leaders experience? The first is they're often misunderstood in the system because so much of their mental energy goes into their heads. that they're not that aware of relational niceties and what others might be expecting from them in an interpersonal space. I know so many Enneagram 5 leaders who say things like, I wish I could get into my office through my window, leave my door locked the whole day. It would be so productive. But once you enter through the hall and people know you there, they want to come and talk to you and distract and have small talk and interrupt. So sometimes Enneagram 5s will walk right past you, busy with thoughts in their head, and you say good morning and they say nothing. And that means that people can see them as distant, arrogant, separate from the group, which can impact whether they get listened to when they need to be listened to in a situation or decision. Another challenge that Enneagram 5s have is that the holding on to information means that sometimes a lot of the rest of the team or organization are making decisions without their contribution being heard. And that means that the broader team can be wasting energy. The 5 actually has the answer, but they're either not sharing or they're not leaning into the team space, so they're not there to make those contributions. I know many Enneagram 5 leaders who also struggle to improvise in the moment. 5s generally don't like surprises, so unless it's something they've been thinking about already, just throwing in a question like, how do you think we solve for this? In the moment, you won't get the best response from the Enneagram 5. They often need time to think and figure it out before they speak. And that means that sometimes some of the decision making can be delayed, or people might think they have nothing to offer and move on to the next topic, where actually they're still busy in the here and now, figuring out how to respond and what's really meaningful to contribute. Enneagram 5s, if you want your work environment to fit your needs better, lean into setting it up in the system for yourself. Instead of withdrawing and then people having to come and chase you and find you at inappropriate times, lean in, set the meetings, you decide what the cadence is going to be, instead of people needing to come and find you in your corner, in your castle. That often makes a really big difference. You also may want to figure out how to lean into relationships with a little bit more softness. Maybe some of the people around you are not as exhausting as you might think them to be. You might need to change the story in your head to experience more energy in your interpersonal relationships. The journey for the Enneagram 5 is from avarice, which is the holding on to information, to energy, conserving it for myself, into non-attachment to not just my knowledge and my needs, but non-attachment as a way of being able to relate to the world without being stuck in the story that it's going to be exhausting and draining, to be connected. We really need the capacity for complex problem solving that lives inside the heads of Enneagram 5s at this point in the arc of human civilization. Enneagram 5s, please show up into the interpersonal conversation with us so that we can benefit from the gifts that you have to offer.